before, you know that I always like to start just by making sure that all the chat boxes and everything are working, just doing a quick little bit of housekeeping. If you are here already, if you could put your name in the chat, what organisation you are joining from, and also, because it is British Sandwich Week this week, if you could also put what your favourite sandwich filling is as well, just as a bit of something for fun to get us started. I have tried very hard to work out what mine is, and I have gone back to a sandwich shop that I used to go into all the time when I used to commute into the office back in the old days before COVID, and used to be able to get a toasted brie and chorizo sandwich, which I had way too much, and it's probably to blame for the size of me. But it was a very, very good sandwich. Joel,
Hello.
what would be your favourite sandwich filling?
I was just adding mine in there now.
Oh, you've just put it in the chat. Sorry,
yeah,
I didn't
Marmite.
see that.
I was speaking to Rich this morning about Marmite chalk and cheese, and I said Marmite is really good, but I don't know if you've ever had Marmite with cheese.
I do. I like a Marmite with cheese and hummus.
Oh, that's one step further. That's one step further.
Yes, and that's another whole step on the ladder.
That sounds amazing. I'll go for that. Beef and horseradish with Joe.
Beef and horseradish. Good shout, Joe. Thank you for joining us, Stephen. I think Rachel's just putting something in the chat as well. I say it's just a little bit of fun while we get stuff going. Sayun, tuna mayo, nice classic sandwich there. Do you have any cucumber in that, any sweet corn in that, or just plain tuna mayo? Egg mayo, Rachel down at BCP Council, thank you. John, lamb and mint. Now that is very that's much more adventurous than everyone else.
Yeah.
Labne. No, I lied. Labne. I don't even know what that is. Philip, you have to give me a bit more information about what a labne sandwich is.
That sounds like something Scottish to me. So not something I've never heard of
that. Jeremy over in North Somerset has gone for a club sandwich. Great choice, nice classic choice again there. It's Lebanese, not Scottish.
Oh, lol. Typical. I'm gonna one of my best mates is Scottish, so I'm gonna text him later with that, and he'll laugh his head off.
But no, that's great. Got quite a few people in here, so I think we can probably get going. Because I know we've got a really packed agenda for today. But thank you everyone for putting those sandwiches in there. I'm going to look up labne afterwards because I'm still
intrigued. I'm looking at it thinking I'm going to Google it, and I thought, no,
yeah. It's gonna be the first thing I do after the webinar. There we are. So have I missed a slide? I think I have.
No, it's me presenting, mate.
Oh, is it you're presenting? Oh, okay, sorry.
Yeah. So on to the next slide if you want.
Yeah, if you go on to the next slide. Yeah, sorry, Joel.
No worries. Cool. Can everybody see my slides? I think that's next slide.
No, I can still see the first one.
Okay, I think Joe and the team, can you guys see the my slide? Yeah, they've got everybody's on the second slide, I think.
Okay, fine. So what we're going to cover today. So welcome and introductions. We'll get started with those in just a sec. We're then going to be we're talking about the challenges in the public sector as a whole, those common challenges when it comes to risk management, the impact if nothing changes, if we keep doing what we're doing, some of the reasons why we are seeing risk systems fall, and then we're going to be looking at what good looks like. What does good risk management look like across the public sector? Where can technology come in? What are the key factors in choosing technology when you're coming to your risk management sectors, and how can technology help? And when we're looking at that, we'll be looking at our solution, which is called iCoRisk. We'll be looking at how iCoRisk has helped with some clients as well, where it's had that impact, and some of those things that you can do today as well. And there is a Q&A at the end, but if you've got any questions as we go through, please do put them in the chat. I'll be in the chat answering any questions, and Joe will be able to pick them up either as we go or again, as I say, at that Q&A at the end as well. Next slide, please, Joel.
Next slide, yep, introductions.
Cool, it's still not what's coming up on my screen, which is weird. Yeah, so I am Sam Fars. I am the partner manager here at iCoTech Services. I have been here for about 6 months, and yeah, I have got a lot of experience working across the public sector. I've worked on both sides of this webinar for intents and purposes. I've worked inside the public sector, and I've also worked outside, sort of coming back in and working as a partner and a sort of a trusted partner across different public sector organisations. And Joel?
Yeah, thanks, Sam. Nice to meet you all today. Thank you for your time. My name is Joel Markham. I am the CEO and founder of iCoTech Services. My background's in project portfolio management, strategic planning across the public sector. I'm looking forward to showing you the presentation today. Thanks for your time. Cool. Next slide. And what we do.
Next slide. I can see it now. Thank you, Rachel, for solving my tech things remotely. Yeah, just to give you a quick overview as to what we do here at iCoTech Services. So we are Power Platform specialists. We only build things in the Microsoft Power Platform. We are specialists there, and we are some of the best people at utilising that technology and making it much more powerful so that you can do better things with it across the public sector. Within that Power Platform, we build critical business applications. So we build, we maintain, and we enhance really very complex business applications. And we use what we call an optimization service. Get those words out. By which we build something that is going to work for now, but then we continue working with you through sort of time moving forward. So as your processes change, as your requirements change, as your reporting needs change, we continue to work with you to continue to sort of develop that solution so that it's perfect for you at all stages of that journey. We do that by having a consultancy approach. So we are fully consultative. We do not have a one-size-fits-all solution. We know that every single organisation in the public sector is very different. We are working with loads of different councils that on paper, they look sort of relatively similar. Their outcomes, what they want to try and achieve, are relatively similar. But actually, when you look at what their process that needs to go through to get to the same place, actually they are very different, and our solutions need to be reflective of that. We don't want to be putting in technology that is telling you what to do. You need to be telling the technology what to do, and the technology needs to be there to make things better for you. And ultimately, we then build solutions. So we have 3 main areas in which we do this, which are project portfolio management. That is iCoPlan. It's there in the middle. There is iCoRisk there on the left-hand side. That's what we're going to be mostly talking about today, which is around risk management. And we have iCoView, which is our business planning solution as well. And we'll have some more webinars coming up on that again in the near future as well. So keep your eye out for those. And sort of overlaying all of those, we have our co-pilot solution, which is known as iCoHelp. And I think, oh no, I'm not handing over to Joel quite yet. These are some of the organisations that we are working with. We work across the public sector, both here in the UK and abroad. But we are working with some really big councils, such as Southampton, Staffordshire, Stoke Council, we've got Torvine, Blind and Gwent. We're working with some sort of arm's length bodies and sort of central government organisations like Transport for Wales, DEFRA, DESNES. We're also working with NHS organisations as well, such as Gig Cymru, which is sort of NHS Wales. And yeah, many more. So I could probably spend an hour talking about the people that we are working with, to be honest, but I won't, because you probably wouldn't get much out of that as a webinar. Charlie, is that my last slide? Am I holding it?
It is indeed. It is indeed. Yes. Okay. Thanks, Sam. Appreciate it. Good morning, everybody. Just let a few more people into the session. So today's kind of first part is a bit of a poll, just to get people involved and understand where you are in your organisation as well, to help inform the conversation today and the topics we'll go through. So there's a poll which will be appearing in the chat shortly, and there are 3 questions in that poll. And if you could answer them, please, that would be much appreciated, and we'll go through the responses shortly. So the first question is, what corporate systems or corporate risk systems are you using currently in your organisation? The second question is, what is your biggest challenge when managing corporate risk across your organization? It gives you some options there to select. And the third question is, what is the main reason you've not implemented a risk management system in the organization itself? So if you could please take the time to respond to that, it just helps me to see the responses. And then us all to see where people are, I guess, in their journey. So just loading up the poll on my side as those results come through. We've got a few coming through for 8 responses so far to the first question, so thank you very much. Let's see what the other responses are. All right, so I think we've had 8. If we could just wait for a few more, 9 responses. Thank you very much for that. And if you guys could keep populating that'd be much appreciated, and we'll go through some of the answers in a second. Just refresh it on my side. Okay, so first of all, the first question, we've got 10 responses now, thank you for that. What corporate risk systems are you using currently in your organization? So about 40% of you have got a dedicated risk, about 36% of you actually have got a dedicated risk management system, which is great. 45% of you are using spreadsheets and Excel, and if you include the SharePoint lists, etc., in that, then 50% of the audience are using Excel and SharePoint lists, and 17% are not using a system at all. So that's really insightful. So many of you on this call are in that stage. I'd say most of you are in that stage where you don't have a dedicated risk management system in place, which is great, and well done to those guys and those organisations that do. It's just useful for me to help make sure the context is right for you guys, and you get the most value out of this this webinar today. But what are your biggest challenges when managing corporate risk? Interestingly, out of all the responses now, I think we're up to 12. We've got 58% of those are 58% of the responses are inconsistent risk management processes between teams. So interesting how 36% of you have got a risk system, but yet the biggest factor to risk challenges and managing risk is inconsistent processes. So I'd like to dive into that at some point. But 17% is no consistent approach. Another 17% is limited visibility across the organization, which is a consistent theme we have. And then 8% of you is manual time and time consuming for reporting. So that's really insightful. Thank you for that. But the biggest takeaway from that is really inconsistent processes being operated across the organization. And then the final question is, what is the primary reason you've not implemented a system? 33% have said you're unclear of what a better approach looks like. 17% time constraints, and 25% budget. So, and there's a couple of other reasons in there as well. We always like the other answer. So if anybody would like to provide further information as to why they selected other in that context, that would be much appreciated. It just helps us to make sure we have enough options in those polls going forward, if there maybe was another reason why you hadn't considered or hadn't implemented a PPM solution. But that's really, really useful. Thank you very much for that. So let's move on. The challenges faced in the public sector, and let's just go through this in a high level detail. So obviously iCoTech services, we work predominantly 98% with the public sector and our customer base. So my job in iCoTech is to go into customers at the start of their journey with iCoTech services, understand their pain points, their challenges, and understand how iCoTech could help them to improve their position, whether it's in risk management, strategic planning, and strategy management, or project portfolio management. And this is my interpretation of the challenges I see across the majority of our public sector customers that are working with us and the customers we're helping to get to a better place today. The first one is really increased pressure. So demand on public services is increasing. Obviously, we know budgets are under kind of scrutiny and always trying to get better value for money. But there's also a theme I'm seeing, which is an increased regulatory and compliance burden across the public sector. So, whether it's in procurement, the new Procurement Act, for example, and other initiatives that are going on across the public sector, that pressure to be compliant at all time is something that is, growing and something I'm seeing increasing in recent times across our sector, across our public sector organisations. And obviously, without, this is a topic at the moment, but security and cyber threats are definitely increasing in their nature, in their topic of conversation, in the challenge of how public sector organisations set themselves up to be compliant, to be secure, and to be able to treat, and to be able to react to these cyber threats that are increasing across the community at the moment. All right. The second point is more change, so more changes than ever before. I think in the world, in the economy, I'm seeing more changes in the government, more changes in social challenges and complexities in that space, and obviously the economic landscape is changing on us as well. But more pressing for public sector organisations is change internally. To be able to react to the change that's happening in the world, and then be able to change the way in which we operate internally as an organisation, how we deliver corporate risk, how we mitigate corporate risk, how we take controls and put good controls and best practice in place is more challenging than ever before because of the variant changes that are going on in the world. All right, and then obviously there's a change in threat actor behaviour as well, and other activities going on in the ecosystem as I see it. So more organisations I'm meeting at the moment are struggling to manage corporate risk, to manage the actions, the mitigations, the controls, the procedures and processes in an ever-changing, complex environment. The last point on this, and I could have put loads on this slide, so I'm trying to summarize to keep time, of course, and to give you as much of input of value as possible, but it's limited resources. So every organization I meet at the moment is trying to do more with less, that old cliche, and trying to get the same outcomes or better outcomes with as much efficiency as possible. Pressure on headcount is often a theme that I'm seeing at the moment. And just trying to be more efficient, trying to cut out the manual processes, the administrative burden is a top priority for the customers that iCoTech are working with at the moment within the public sector, helping them to support to get to a better place. So I guess my final point on this is that risk management is always playing a critical role to ensure that organizations are compliant, legal and safe at all times. If not now, more than ever before, I'm seeing that. And I think getting your risk management processes, procedures right is a top priority for any organization in our current state of play. So the common challenges that I'm seeing with risk management and that we see across our customer base is a consistent theme around time-intensive processing. And to me, that is a case of, managing, updating risks is overly manual. All right. Now, a year ago went into a local authority, and I think they will be happy. It was 55 spreadsheets of risks, 55 service departments, and the risk logs were just uncontrollable, difficult. People changing the the processes, the procedures, the terminology. It was difficult. I mean, in another council I've met more recently, I think there was about 6 or 7 kind of risk logs in different departments, and just the time it took to generate, the time it took to manage was just inefficient and hard. And I think that's the point here, is a heavy administrative burden. So, a lot of the customers that we were working with at the start, at the very start of their journey, they spent a lot of time maintaining data, maintaining reports rather than analyzing it and really learning from it. That fragmented approach across the departments is something that I'm seeing consistently. Having inconsistent approaches and disconnected views is a common theme and a common challenge that we're seeing. We saw it today in the poll. A lot of you are using spreadsheets and lists, and that is consistent with the theme. And most organizations that approach iCoTech at the start of the journey, we are seeing that a lot. I can even paint a picture of where I've seen a number of Word documents being used, and multiple Word documents being used for different departments, which has tables within the Word documents, and just having that kind of limited system, siloed documents, siloed processes is really common from the landscape we're seeing across public sector and corporate risk. And that's really what that's preventing is, or causing, is a limited visibility, slow reporting. I've got a number of examples where organizations are taking weeks to produce a board pack for corporate risks and corporate kind of incidents or issues, or however they're managing those. And the process of getting action updates from the action owners is time-consuming, nagging, Teams messages everywhere. That is a consistent, common problem that I see across, the risk management spectrum. And then those siloed risk registers, so no single organizational wide perspective, is definitely something that I'm seeing across most of those customers that are in that stage. So I think the key point and the result of this is that risk management becomes reactive, inconsistent, and difficult to rely on when it's fragmented. It's in multiple different spreadsheets, you've got limited visibility, and it's very slow to go and produce those reports. That's the kind of common challenges I'm seeing. I'll be interested from some comments, I guess, from the audience to see if you resonate with that, if you have any of those challenges as well. If you're in that world, feel free to add a comment or add a perspective into the chat as Sam. Great minds think alike, Sam, you asked the same question. So yeah, feel free to put some context or your views of what you're facing as challenges in the meeting chat. The more information, the more knowledge we're sharing on today's call, the better, in our opinion. So what is the impact if nothing changes? We've talked about the increased pressure in the public sector and the increased demand, and the increased scrutiny to governance and to demonstrate accountability is growing. Organizations need to stay compliant, need to stay legal, they need to stay safe, but they need to be able to demonstrate that and demonstrate the control and accountability. So if it takes you a long time to go and demonstrate that, if it takes you 4 weeks or 3 weeks or 2 weeks to go and produce a report to a board, a council member, a committee, even a chief risk officer who has to can't see the data in that kind of instantaneous place or time period, that's just increased pressure on everybody in the organization. We know there's greater audit compliance happening in the past year, but also will happen going forward with the various kind of changes in government, in policy, and procedure. And so, having that increased scrutiny, will be difficult to service and difficult to show that compliance is in place. The other thing that is key to note is that for iCoTech, the best practice is all about linking risk to strategic alignment. So having your organizational objectives in iCoView, linking that to corporate risk, linking that to corporate objectives, to measures, improvements, KPIs, etc. In our opinion, as consultants, there is a connection there between how do we manage corporate risk in each of the departments as well. So that's a key point that I think is missing if we stay where we are. All right. The other impact is that delayed decision making. So lack of timely, trusted insight in that data. If it's in different spreadsheets, if it's hard to produce as an output, then actually making decisions is a monthly or bi-monthly process in a risk or assurance board that really, in some cases, shouldn't be the case. All right. And the point here is that if we're not mitigating those risks or putting those controls in place, then they will become more issues, more incidents, more critical events will be happening across the organizations, which is ultimately what we're trying to avoid in the art of doing good risk management. So really, if we don't do anything, the impact will be, a continued reduced confidence of the risk information at every level in that organization. And that's something that I think should be changed, and we'd like to see change and help and support in any way we can. Cool. Thank you for your point, Stephen. Appreciated. Buying is an issue as well. So yeah, engagement with the departments and buy-in to risk management is an issue as well. Also understanding we have spent 18 months with structured training, and many managers still don't get risk management. Yeah, I totally agree. It is about that training at the people side as well, getting people to understand and fusing those things together, which actually brings me quite nicely onto my next slide. So in terms of how to fix this, in terms of where to start, there's a principle that we have here in iCoTech Services that we've is an industry standard approach, but for us, we've tailored it to what how we work with our customers. And our recommended approach is to think about the risk management system in 3 component parts. So it is people, but it's process and it's technology. So when I say risk management system, it isn't a technology tool specifically. We are looking at, do we have people, do we have the processes, and do we have the technology, and do they work cohesively together to build our risk management system? So let's dive into the people. Let's start there. All right. So are people trained appropriately? Stephen, you mentioned you spent 18 months with a structured training plan. So that's something that is good to do. It's great that you're doing that. And, many organizations don't do that. So you're a step ahead there, which is great. But do you have the correct capability in the team? So within the risk management function itself, within the organization, are the department heads, the directors, is everybody that's appropriate to be involved in the risk management system, are they trained appropriately? And most importantly, have you got the roles and responsibilities documented and defined? So there's some of the things that we do, not everything, obviously, but it could be here for a long time. But there's some of the things that iCoTech offer and can support with and recommend that we focus on, just to give you an insight as to that people lens and some of the things, the basic things that we would suggest having in place if you don't have already. Most people expect me to go on to technology at this point and say you need the best technology system in place in order to achieve this. Actually, you don't. We like to go anti-clockwise around this journey. And for us, the most important thing is the people. It's the process. So it's the process of having defined what risk management is. So do you have one single defined way of working in risk management? All right. And do you have that documented to a suitable level of detail? Is there a methodology that's really clearly in place? And does everybody is everybody appropriately trained on this methodology? Of course, the risk management methodology for a big central government organization is probably going to be quite a detailed document in what good looks like. It's going to be, if I think of our customers that we've helped in this space, it's probably a 30-40 page Word document with detailed specifics on analysis, risk criteria, scoring, reporting, categorization, etc. Now, I use the word appropriately in this context because you don't really want to train everybody on everything. So it's trying to find ways of training people on the process that they're part of. And that's the most efficient way of doing it. There's no point training people. Overtraining is sometimes something that we've seen quite a lot happen, when actually just simple, pragmatic, bite-sized training courses, drip feed it through every month is probably a better way of doing it in some cases, for example. So once you've got your people, your capability, you understand what the roles and responsibilities are, then you've got your processes documented to a suitable level of detail and everybody appropriately trained, then you can look at technology. And really, it's assessing, does technology align to your business process? Does it support and assist you to be more reactive in risk management? And does it promote the things you want to do? So does it give you visibility and standardization in place now? So those are the things that we're asking before we're telling a customer and assessing a customer to say, this is the right thing for you to go and do, is to implement technology. It's far more important, really, in our opinion, to get people right, then process, then technology. And I know it's quite overwhelming if I'm in your shoes of trying to implement a risk management system, but hopefully that gives you a bit of structure, a bit of an idea of how you could go about implementing the risk management system in your organization yourselves over the next few months, taking that a couple of those principles away and starting to work it in that way and work on those processes. So the next question is, why risk systems fail? So in our experience, why do these things potentially not go so well? And what were the common factors that caused that failure in that system implementation? And really, the first thing is, we see it a lot. Technology system has been implemented before the process is in place. It's more often than not, I'm on an introduction call with a customer and they've told me they've implemented a technology system and it doesn't work. And really, after peeling back the onion layers on that, it's actually they didn't really have a business process, or they didn't have the people in place to adopt that technology. Or, and I think that idea of just buying a system, buying a technology tool, first is a common factor as to how people don't get buy-in and don't see success in risk system implementations. The second factor that I see a lot is that lack of senior ownership and alignment with strategic objectives. So really, it's like, where is the organization going? How are you defining your strategic objectives? And then are the senior leadership bought into risk management as a procedure, as a policy? Because risk management is all the way through the layer of every layer of the organization. And if you don't have buy-in at the top, in that senior ownership, at some level, you're going to struggle. And I see that a common theme, a common factor to failure in this space is a lack of senior buy-in and a lack of alignment of strategy. I also think that, really maturity is important. So some people can, think that the organization is mature, but if it's not, then if not everybody operates in that same way, then actually the system will fail as well. And underinvest in that change management process is a common theme that we see as well. So not taking the people through that change journey. Stephen, it looks like you've done a great job of taking people along that journey, but you'd be surprised how many organizations that are struggling to roll out a risk management system and don't think of the change element of the people, because ultimately the people own risk and the people are mitigating risks every day. So bringing people along that journey with you is really important to making sure that the system as a whole works. All right. The other thing I see again is attempting a large scale rollout. So having a corporate policy, a corporate solution that is the de facto way of working, and then really what I've seen is everybody's trying to work out how they fit into that corporate system. And that can be the same for technology as well. So it's a technology solution that's been bought for the whole system, or all three departments, for example, in a parent organization or an arm's length body. Is the arm's length body is almost adopted the corporate system, the parent system in that way. It just doesn't fit the purpose. So attempting a large scale rollout too early is a common factor to these things failing. And then treating governance as optional rather than enforced is a little bit of a bug, a big bugbear for me. I guess we understand why it's difficult to enforce it all the time, but having that partial implementation of governance is not great. All right. So this is a bit of a kind of a bit of a game, I guess, to kind of understand where you are in the journey. So just kind of benchmark yourself. We have a maturity assessment in iCoTech services for risk management. Obviously, it's a much more detailed process than just a slide, but so temperature check the value, I guess, from it as well. But I just wanted to give you a bit of an indication and a bit of a self-service kind of assessment on where you are against what does good look like at the moment. So if you take people, there's some statements in here, and I would like you guys just to read those statements. And I know it's hard because you could pick and drive into detail, and this is super high level. But in terms of people, just put yourself, where's your organization? Are you level 1? Are you level 2? Are you level 3 in high maturity for people? All right. And then the process side. So look at those statements and just see where you are in those statements, and just see if you're level 1, level 2, or level 3. So if you have a fully defined and embedded risk management policy or methodology with clear stages, escalation paths, decision rights, and a continuous improvement iteration process on that, you arguably say that you're level 3 for process. But so just have a look at those and see where you fit. The last one is technology. So I think 33% of you are going to say you're level 3 in technology, which is good. And some other people are going to be level 1. But then just gives you an idea of where you are. So give yourself a few minutes to read that. And if you wouldn't mind putting the responses in the chat, I'd be interested to see where you are in this scale for people. So just put people level 1. Process level 2, technology level 3. Just allow us to see where the audience is and feed back that information and knowledge to yourselves who are on this call, who are taking time out of your busy days to be on the call today. So I think the interesting point for me is we've already learned that a section of you, 33% of you, are using a technology solution. The majority of you are not using a technology solution, and there's a middle bit that are using SharePoint lists and Excel, which is great. So Jeremy, thank you for being the first person to put that in there. Much appreciated. People 1 and process 2. Good. And technology 1. Okay, cool. So Stephen, thank you very much for your contribution as well. Philip, thank you. That's interesting. Okay, cool. So people level 2, process level 2, technology level 1. So yeah, I think that's, if we were doing a full assessment, we would probably say that effectively, if you're in a 2-2-1, so if you're kind of level 2 for people, level 2 for process, 1 for technology, you're probably ready for technology to help you take it that next step further. If you're like Philip, probably a level 1, level 2 for process, level 2 for technology, your investment, Philip, feels like it's a people and culture and training and change management initiative to go and focus on. Rachel, you're probably, if you're 2-2-1, then again, maybe an implementation of a technology solution, to help would be the next step. But then Jeremy, you put 1 for people, 2 for process, and 1 for tech. So yeah, Jeremy, for your organization, it's probably a people and a tech thing at the same time. But I hope that's just added some value to you, and you can all hopefully see at a very high level, and it's only 1 sentence, what good looks like. And Sharon, you've said 1 across all. So yeah, Sharon, for your position, I would be focusing probably on the process first. Go and get those processes defined, the templated out. That's if you were coming to iCoTech for some support, that's where we'd be starting first, is those processes, simple, standard processes that, we've got templates for, and then we bring up the people, and then we implement the technology. And that's just, that's really useful. Thank you all for that. Again, if you want more information, if you want a full maturity assessment, we go through a process for that. Obviously, a lot more detailed than this, but that'll help you to really give you a set of recommendations to how we proceed and help our customers through this journey. All right. So we're going to dive into technology, because I'm aware that a large proportion of you today are looking at technology or considering how technology can help you in your organization and how you get more efficient. So I think let's dive into that for a second. But really, one of our points, the first point at the top here is really consideration of the current needs, not necessarily the future needs. So all too often, I get customers approaching us who say, it needs to be all singing, all dancing. And I challenge, and I, as a consultant, should, and I say, well, okay, show me your process to that. And it's a 1-page PowerPoint deck. And I'm like, right, okay, so let's if your process is 1 page on a PowerPoint deck, but you want the next best thing in risk management, then there's a disconnect there, and that might cause you some failure. So I think it's about really defining what your current needs are today to digitize, to automate, to make those efficiencies, and then think about what the future might look like in 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, and build towards that. I talked about big, large-scale implementations going wrong, but also, implementing solutions, technology solutions that are too complex. So similarly, it's matching that solution to the organization maturity. So really, thinking about where you are in your journey, how can the technology help you to mature the organization? That's important. And for me, I would always prioritize the usability and the adoption over those complex features that might be there. And that's just a consultant recommendation from our perspective, based on our learning, is start small, and grow. That's really the kind of the benefit, the approach here. All right. So strong alignment to your current governance processes. So really understanding what those governance processes are, those stage gates you take a risk through, the controls, the measures, the actions you put in place. But make sure there's strong alignment in that. And then evaluate that technical fit and interoperability. So corporate risk is owned by everybody in the organization, as I mentioned earlier. So having a system that is aligned to that, having a system that is available to everybody is important. Not having a system that you have to email somebody to get something added to the risk log, or you have to get a license to go and add something to the risk log. That will prohibit that people pillar being increased in time, and it will prevent you guys from having good collaborative risk management approaches to these to initiatives going on in the business. And then understanding the cost of licenses as well. So just think about how does the cost align to licenses, and what's the total cost of ownership? How does that look in the context of those other things? So yeah, I think the last considerations on technology is, is it a flexible or iterative or fixed enterprise solution? iCoTech would always recommend you go with an iterative solution. Start small, get some value, get off the spreadsheets, put something into a digital system, a digital platform, get some automated reporting out pretty quickly, and then move onwards and upwards from there. Is that implementation approach right for you? Is a big bang or iterative good for your organization? That's a question you've got to ask yourself. And then if you're going to select anybody, obviously hopefully select somebody with some experience in that area, that sector, who's done it before, who's got that referenceability in those case studies. So there's some of the things to think about in technology. There's loads of other things I could have put on a slide, but I didn't want to go too far. But I just want to give you some insights of what you could do. All right. Conscious of time as well, because we want to leave the floor open to the questions and have an open dialogue at the end. So ICO risk, we're not kind of going to take you through a demo today. Not going to, that's not the purpose of the day. But I wanted to make you put it on your radar of what it is, so you can reach out to myself or Sam after this call if you did want to see more about what this technology solution can do. But I stand by the point that we assess all those three elements, not just technology first, before embarking on this journey. But ICO risk really is a risk management solution. It is enterprise, but it is an accelerator. And what that means is it's quite basic in its current form. And then we configure that to meet your organizational requirements. So we configure the solution using the Power Platform, which is low code, no code. And then we go onwards through iteration to build that platform for you and scale it out from across the business. So we're really proud of the platform, really proud of what it does. We see lots of customers loving this technology, this approach. Out of the box, you've got that centralized risk register, you've got the scoring, you've got a life cycle in there, you've got some controls that are in there in terms of mitigating actions and control tracking. We've got an audit trail function there, which is pretty cool as well, which is about seeing what risk score that risk has over time based on the controls and the updates being provided. And then we've got a set of dashboards which we have built as an accelerator pack to digitize and automate the output of this stuff. So really impressive stuff, but not the best thing in the world, but it is basic and good and kind of good sized project risk management system for many organizations in the public sector, depending on their stage of maturity. But yeah, the point of this is we can configure it to your needs and go through that journey with you. And we kind of, you imagine those three pillars we talked about: people, process, technology. We're trying to implement one at a time and go up an iterative curve to get you to a place where you need to be, as opposed to really pushing in a system and a process that doesn't work and fails in our opinion. All right. So that's ICO risk. If you'd like to know more, if you want to put demo in the chat or yes please in the chat, or whatever it might be, we'll reach out to you. There is a QR code at the end of the session as well to kind of reach out to us if you want to see more about that. If you feel like you're in the right position to take that next step in the technology space. Just some examples of where we have implemented ICO risk. A couple on the page here. So you can read these yourself, but effectively what our customers are seeing is absolute improvement in that visibility, that confidence of the data, being able to make informed decisions quickly, because you can log on to your laptop in the morning, go to your portfolio risk dashboard, hit refresh, and bang, there's all your risks, there's all your actions, there's all your scores. That standardized governance approach, it does enforce people to go through those stages and those governance standards being applied. But then it allows you then to have that audit, that control as well, and that real-time value. We've got a case study coming up in this space over the next couple of weeks. We're waiting for it a case study that we're really proud of to be embedded into the organization a little bit more. But one of the obvious benefits immediately was that when I did the discovery with the lady, it was her whole job to create the monthly pack for the governance board on corporate risk. And, that was her life, chasing people for Excel spreadsheet updates and Word updates and email updates, and then changing the narrative, sending it back around, getting director approval, and then PDF in the document at the end of the month to go to the council members and the committee at the end of the month to be reviewed. that's no longer done. It's all in a simple, efficient process now that's much more time effective. All right, so that's what you could do with technology, a good technology in place. If you don't do that without technology, kind of my key 4 takeaways are: define the standards, define and improve the process, think about training and governance, in that kind of people and process lens, and then maybe try and do a little risk management maturity assessment yourself, or if you want to, ask iCoTech, and we'd love to help you. All right. Hopefully that's been useful. I'm conscious of time. It's 1:45. I want to open the floor to questions. Are there any questions, please? Sam, are you going to help me with these questions, battling these?
Yeah. Anyone, if you've got any questions, please put them in the chat. We'll be happy to, we'll be happy to answer you if you want to put them through. We've had a few as we've gone through, and I think we've answered everything that's been in there. So far.
Stephen's come back with one, yeah. There's a PMO, not yet seen that yet. There is a PMO, but not seen that. Yeah, councils also manage their own risks. We have impact of LGI, council resources on SR. Okay, cool. Yeah. Lots of stuff. We feel no problem. Thanks, Jeremy. We feel that there's lots of interconnection with PMOs as well, and risk management and how that works. But if anybody would like to even put their hand up and come off mute and ask a question, happy to answer any questions that you've got. You guys have invested time in a session, so we're happy to stay on to the end to answer any questions that you've got and help you in any way we can. Lots of experience of doing this across the customers at the moment. So I can see Philip is typing a question. Was there a training requirement for senior? So was there a training requirement for senior leadership to access dashboard? Not really. Philip, thanks for the question. Not really a training requirement. I think in most cases that we work with, most customers are familiar with Power BI. And that service, particularly at leadership level. I'd say there's probably more of a training requirement for the managers and the owners of the actions that is something that we focus on, or something we've seen across the portfolio. But if you feel like a training is required, then that's something we can obviously do in that implementation. Do you feel like training is for the leadership something that is required, Philip? Is that something that you think is needed in your organisation? And I can see that Stephen's asking a question as well, typing as well.
Do you want to bring up the following slide as well, Joel, while we're chatting?
Oh yeah.
It's just got the other bits and pieces on there that might be useful for people while we're answering the questions.
Good point. Yeah, so if you want to schedule a demo of iCoRisk, okay. I think, Philip, we have to take you off mute. I think that's how it works these days. I think. Here we go. So there we go. I think you're off mute now, Philip. Is that working for you?
Yeah, I think so. Thank you for that.
There we go.
No, it's just risk. I guess the use of dashboards and how we report isn't just purely confined to risk. It's been something that's relates to performance and everything like that. Our system struggled because limited functionality, and we've kind of changed how we brigade things, changed how we structure, but we've not really been able to reflect that on the system. But I guess, if I'm being completely honest, a lot of our senior leaders are actually the worst offenders for not using corporate systems, to be quite honest. And the amount of, if I'm being, I'll just say it, spoon feeding that they get is quite unbelievable, I would say.
Yeah, I can appreciate that and sympathise with that. And my instinctive reaction to that is, if we get the community of risk owners and managers in a risk management system that's kind of coherent, working, you got that one version of truth, and then the senior leaders often kind of follow and fall in and see the value of the platform and see the value of the system working together, and see the contribution from across the audience as well, the team members. So if people are updating their risks every month, then they can see the hard work that the guys are putting into that, and the control and the importance they're putting into it. So it's an interesting conundrum. I can imagine for you it might be quite hard to navigate that challenge. But we got some options in that space, Philip. But yeah. Getting them trained is
your
important.
sort of systems, you say you use Microsoft, then are you kind of, obviously Power BI is kind of, I've generally seen it used more as an Excel kind of plugin, if that makes any sense. But are you using things like SharePoint development as well with it, or?
Yeah, so Power Platform is Microsoft technology. It's available in Microsoft 365, and that's what iCoRisk is built on. So it's a Power Platform system that allows you to put your risks into it, allows you to track your actions, your decisions, your mitigations, provide monthly updates in a controlled system that's much more powerful than Excel. And then Power BI plugs into that then to visualize that data and produce those reports. And so now some of our local authority customers are, instead of producing a PowerPoint deck with lots of charts in it and lots of narrative, it's literally a Power BI report, hit refresh, and out it comes. And then everybody's contributing to that risk engine as the months go on.
Yeah, okay. That's interesting. Yeah, thank you. Sorry.
No problem. Thank you for the question. Thank you for the contribution. Appreciate it. We have the QR codes as well, or you could drop us an email if you want to see more on iCoRisk specifically. Stephen, thank you for your question. We are often pulled up on the lack of integrated reporting, so performance, risk, budget, etc. Yet, as you use Power BI, I'm assuming that development of dashboards can be done to. Yeah, absolutely. Sam's jumped in there and answered the question. So yeah, that's the point. Is that we have the accelerators iCoRisk, iCoPlan, and iCoView, and performance reporting across the whole. Obviously, there's a wide spectrum, but that's the benefit of the Power Platform for us, is that we can build these technology solutions to match the customer's business processes. And yes, we can produce those reports and dashboards. And if you wanted to, Stephen, if you want to jump on a separate call with us, we can take you through iCoRisk and we can show you some dashboards that are in there already. And if I can understand your kind of challenges in a bit more for yourself, Stephen, or anybody else on the call, I can actually tailor a little bit of a show and tell to you as well on what other customers might be doing in your space, for example. But yeah, thank you very much for the questions. Are there any other questions? Does somebody, if somebody wants to come off mute, I think you could raise your hand on Teams, and I think we could come to you and mute you, and we can have a conversation if anybody has any further questions or anything I can help with. Rachel, I can see you typing at the moment. No problem. Thanks, Rachel. Appreciate your time. Okay, cool.
Sure.
I think that's at the end of the questions, I think, so far.
Yeah. If people have got any more questions, feel free to reach out to myself or to Joel, and we'll be happy to help. We've also got those 4 QR codes down there at the bottom. Do subscribe to us on LinkedIn. Follow us on LinkedIn if you don't already. It's the best place to find out everything that we are up to, and when our next webinars are, all that sort of stuff. We've also got our YouTube channel there. For those of you who are going through LGR, there's some great videos there, but I would say that because I'm in them. But there's also lots of videos about other stuff, bits and pieces that we do. That is all there on our YouTube channel, and we put stuff up there quite regularly. So if you would rather see stuff in a video format, head over to the YouTube channel to see that on there. But yeah, if you would like to have a further chat, if you would like to book a demo with us to sort of see more about what we've been talking about today, for us to do those maturity assessments, all those sorts of things that Joel has been talking about, feel free to also scan one of those codes as well. And yeah, we will reach out to you as well and give you all that information as well as the recording of today's session, a copy of the slides, etc. So if you do need to share any of this information internally, you are able to do that. But I don't think there's anything more coming in through the chat, so we will give you 5 minutes back. You can go away and make a cup of tea before your next meeting, hopefully. Always good to have that little bit of time. But thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you on our next webinar in about a month's time, I think, our next one. But yeah, keep an eye on the LinkedIn and on the website for all that information. Thank you very much, and goodbye for all that.
Yeah, cheers now. Thank you. Bye-bye.